Okay, so good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the next TechnoLive Tuesday starter session. I hope that everybody is keeping well during these strange times. And as promised from last week's stream, we'll be looking today at Minecraft. Okay, so for those of you who were involved with last week's live stream, we were spending the session having a look at some coding examples on, I believe it was code.org. And what we were doing during the session was we were using block-based programming to get our character, okay, our I believe it was Alex that we used. So to get our Minecraft character to move around this world, okay, and we were essentially trying to ensure that she could achieve her goals. Okay. Now, what we're going to be doing today is something that's somewhat similar to what we were doing during last week's stream, but we'll be using actual Minecraft today. Okay, so Minecraft Education Edition is what we're going to be using today. And this is slightly different to what we were looking at last week. Okay, so instead of using the code.org website, we're going to actually be using Minecraft. And what this means is that you will need to have a hub or some sort of educational login. Okay, most often it would probably be hub that you would use, and you would need to download Minecraft Education Edition onto your device if you haven't already got it. Okay, and once you start up Minecraft for the first time, you would then need to log in using that hub account. Okay, and once you've done that, you will then get taken to this screen, which you can hopefully all see now. Okay, so if you're not familiar with Minecraft and you're a first time user, then we will be going through everything step by step. Okay, so you don't need to worry. You know, if there's anything that you're unfamiliar with, or if there's anything that you feel like you might need a little bit of help on, you know, this session today is designed for us to go through things in a slow and methodical way to make sure that we're all on the same page and that we're all happy with what we're doing. Okay, so there's no need to worry if you're not understanding something. Okay, now as usual, I'm of course here to help with any questions that you might have. So we will be using the same system that we were using before, which is the Technocamp's website. So if you all navigate over to the Technocamp's website if you need any help, you can use this chat with one of our delivery team icons in the bottom right hand side of the screen here, and you can then follow the instructions that will then tell you how you can contact one of us. Okay, and both myself and my colleague Joe will be available should you need us for anything during this session. Okay, so before we get stuck into Minecraft today, there's one thing that I just wanted to mention, which I also talked about last week, which was of course the competitions that we are currently running. So we of course have two competitions on the go at the moment. We have the Game of Codes competition, which is available on the Technocamp's website. Okay, should any of you be interested in participating in that, you can find information about that on the Technocamp's website. I will just bring up my screen to show you where that is. So you should be able to find it on the home page of the website. If you scroll down, you'll be able to find our Game of Codes Education of the Future information page, and it's from here that you'll be able to read about all of the different things that you can do for the competition. Okay, so it's about creating a piece of software following the theme of education of the future. Okay, and there's lots of different bits of information on here that tells you what you need to do to enter and things like that, and you will need to submit your entry, okay, no later than Friday the 19th of February 2021. Okay, so you've got plenty of time. It could be something that you do over the Christmas holidays. Okay, so if there is anyone who's interested in taking part in that, remember you can have a look at the Game of Codes page on the TechnoCamps website. In addition, TechnoCamps is also doing a competition which is actually within Minecraft, called which is in association, with the Welsh Rugby Union. So if anybody is interested or wants to participate in that, then feel free to get in touch, and we will be able to help you and give you some information about that. Okay, and again, you can contact us today using that link on the TechnoCamps website. Okay, so feel free to contact us if you would like to learn more. So without further ado, we will start today's live stream, okay, which, like I said, is on Minecraft. So very exciting stuff. Okay, again, if you're not familiar with Minecraft, there's no need to worry. Okay, like I said, we're all here to learn and work at the same pace. Okay, so if you haven't already installed Minecraft Education Edition, then feel free to do so, and then you can rewind this video if you need to catch up afterwards. Okay, remember, it will be available on the TechnoCamps website after today's live stream, so feel free to go back and have a look at that. Okay, however, what I'll do now is I will guide us through the initial setup for what we need to do to get our first world. Okay, so first things first, what you need to do is you need to click on this play button. So this is the screen that you'll be brought to when you first log in, and we need to click on this play button, and you will then get taken through to this screen here, okay, which essentially is where we can do all of our controlling, okay, to make sure that we can set up our world properly. Okay, so once you've navigated over to this section, okay, we then need to set up our world. So to do that, we can go to Create New, and then we can use this New button here. Okay, so click on that New button, and you should then be brought to this screen here, okay, where you'll see that there are lots and lots of different settings, and I'll just quickly take us through the ones that we'll need today. So you'll need to name your world to start off with. So I'm going to just call mine, we'll call it TechnoCamps World, okay? And then I'm going to change my default game mode and difficulty to creative, okay? So the default game mode will be creative, and my difficulty is going to be on peaceful. Okay. You can leave the permission level as member, and then you need to change your world type to being preferably flat. Okay, but you can use others. But flat just means that we're going to have much more space. Okay, to be able to do things. Now we don't need to worry about these two things. Okay, but we need to turn on show coordinates. okay, because that'll be useful for us later. We can leave all of these settings as they are, but you'll need to click on Show Classroom Settings and just make sure that these settings are all sort of matching up with mine, okay? These settings will be what we'll be using. If you don't want it to rain in your Minecraft world, then you can turn on perfect weather, okay? And those are basically everything that you will need to have set to switched on. Make sure as well that this code builder option is also turned on, okay? So what I'll do now, just for a couple of minutes, I'll just leave these settings on my screen and I'll slowly scroll through them just to make sure that everybody's got a chance to adjust their settings correctly. Okay, so I'll just leave these on my screen for a minute and then I'll scroll down to the others just so that we can make sure that everybody is in the same place. Okay, so I'll just scroll down to the other settings now. So if you are watching this back, feel free to pause the video to check to make sure that all of your settings are correctly adjusted. Okay, so there's a lot of different options. Okay, they don't for today's session, the main ones that you'll need to make sure are turned on are the code builder, because that's what we'll be using today. But other than that, it should be fine. Okay, so once all of your settings have been adjusted correctly, you can hit the play button. And then, depending on how fast your computer is, you will then be brought into this Minecraft world. Okay, so it's very, very flat. Okay, because I'd set the flat option. It's very, very flat, and you can see that all we have in the world at the moment are a few animals that are running around. Okay, these won't do anything to you, they're completely harmless. Okay, but they are in the world nonetheless. So if you need to bring up the pause menu for any reason, okay, or if you feel like you need to adjust any other settings, you can press the escape key on your keyboard and that will then bring up the pause section. Okay, and there are different settings and things like that that you can adjust in here. And then to get back into the Minecraft world, you can just simply click the escape key on your keyboard again, and that will then bring you back into the world. Now, when you move your mouse, okay, the mouse will control the direction that you're facing. And if you press the letter H, okay, on your keyboard, you will see that there's a different set of controls that appear that tell you how you can move around. Okay, so W moves you forwards, S moves you backwards, A will move you to the left, and D to the right. Okay, and you use these keys whilst moving the mouse to control the direction that you're facing. Okay, you can also use the spacebar to jump, or if you press the spacebar twice, you'll actually start flying. Okay, and then you can drop back down again by double tapping that spacebar key, and you will then jump back down. Now it talks about the inventory, Okay, but we won't be using this today much. Okay, but if you did want to have a look at the different choices that you can, or the different items or objects that you can place in your world. So for an example, I might want to place, what could I use? A cactus. Okay, I simply click on the cactus and I can drag it into my hotbar, which are these blocks down here, like that. And then I can use my mouse key, so the right click on my mouse, sorry, the left click on my mouse to destroy different blocks, okay? And I'll actually choose a different object to place in the world, so I'm just going to choose for now these wooden oak planks, okay? So I can either use the scroll wheel on my mouse to choose the different options in the hotbar, or I can use the numbers 1 through to 9 on my keyboard, okay, to choose the different objects that are in that hotbar. But I'm going to use the right click on my mouse to place these objects down, okay? So left click to destroy and right click to place down, okay? So those are the basic controls, okay? Feel free to go back over those and have a look at those again by rewinding the video. I will leave the controls up on my screen so that you're able to see them, okay? Just in case, so that you can familiarize yourself with them. You'll also notice that my position is being recorded just up in this part of the screen here, okay? So that is my position within the world, and it uses coordinates, so X, Y, and Z coordinates, okay? So left and right, up and down, sorry, and diagonal coordinates to tell me where I am positioned in the world, okay? So that's just a bit of a crash course into Minecraft, okay? But what we're here to learn about today is how we can code in Minecraft, okay? And that's what we're going to be doing today. Now, we're going to be using something called the code builder. So some of you might have already spotted that to access the code builder, we press the letter C on our keyboard, okay? And you will then get taken, so it might bring you to a separate screen before this one that has a list of options of different types of code builder that you can use. I think it's the top one that you need to select, which is called possibly something like make code or something similar, okay? And we are going to be using the Microsoft one to build our first program in Minecraft, okay? So I will let everybody have just a few minutes to familiarize themselves again with the controls, okay? So remember, if once you're ready, you can press the letter C on the keyboard and that will then launch the code builder, okay? And that's what you're going to need to use today. So I'll just give everybody a minute to catch up with that. Remember, you can rewind this video if you need to, okay, to go back and view what's going on, okay, and how you can control things. But like I said, I'll just give everybody a minute or two to get caught up before we carry on to start programming. So feel free to have a go as well at opening up that inventory by pressing E on the keyboard and then choosing some different items that you can then try and place in your world. So maybe a block of diamond, for example, okay? So if you only want one of the items from the inventory, you can right click on it and drag just one of the items down into your hotbar. Okay, and you can stack these items as well. Okay, so you can see that currently I've got 3 diamond blocks, but if I wanted to add another one, I can do that by right clicking on the diamond block and then right clicking again once my mouse is hovered above the block of diamond, and then you can see now that I've got 4 blocks of diamond. Okay, you don't need to worry about that too much today, because we'll be using a different we'll be using something different to program our code today. Okay, so hopefully everybody has now got to the same place as me, okay, and that everybody has accessed the code builder. So remember, press the C key on your keyboard and that will then bring you into the code builder. Okay, now once we're at this stage, you can see that there are lots of different options. Okay, we've got lots of different tutorials that we can use, and there are lots of videos as well that we can use to help us learn how to build different structures and things like that in Minecraft. But what we'll start off with today is having a look at this chicken rain tutorial. Okay, now it has a very funny name. Okay, it's got a really funny name, but we'll be using the chicken rain tutorial today to get us started off with coding. Okay, so this is one of the tutorials that's been made by the Minecraft Education Edition team. Okay, so if we click on the chicken rain tutorial, you will see that it gives us 3 different choices. So we've got blocks, we've got Python and JavaScript. Now I mentioned JavaScript last week, okay, as one of the different types of programming languages that exists. Now Python is also another type of programming language that exists, but like last week, we'll be using block-based programming today. Okay. Now we will be looking at Python, I believe, in a few weeks' time. Okay, but for today, we're just going to be using the block-based programming. So we can click on that block-based programming start tutorial button, and you'll see now that you're brought into a coding screen, which looks very, very similar to what we were using last week. Now this tutorial will help guide you through placing your first programming blocks in Minecraft. Okay, now if you want to have a go on your own at going through this tutorial and then starting on another tutorial, that is absolutely fine. Okay, but I will be working through this tutorial with you so that you can have a go at placing your first blocks with me. Okay, so it brings up some information to start off with, and essentially what we need to do is just press the start button. Okay, so this is just explaining what's going to be happening with the code. Okay, so I'm going to hit that start button, and you'll see that like last week we have got these different types of block. Okay, so I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see them a bit clearer. Now this first block here, okay, this on chat command block, this is the block that we'll be using to start our program. So I'm going to get rid of this on start block by dragging it into the bin. Okay, so that's now gone. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be following this guide to teach us how to program our first program in Minecraft. Okay, now if you do need a hint, there is this light bulb symbol, okay, that tells you a little bit more information, but we'll cover how to start our programs in a second. But what we're going to do is we're going to rename our on-chat command block. Okay. Now, like the code builder tutorial says, I'm going to call mine chicken. Okay. And what this essentially means is that our program will be started when we type the command word chicken, okay, into our Minecraft world. Okay, and we'll have a look at how to do that in a little while. So we're taking our on-chat command block and we're going to tell our command that it's going to be called chicken. So then I'm going to click on the arrow key to get through to the next section. Now we can see that it's saying that we need to put in spawn to spawn a chicken at our current position. Okay. So from the mobs menu, we can choose this spawn block. Okay. And this will slot quite nicely into our on-chat command block. So every block that goes inside of this on-chat command block, okay, will be part of our program that we're building. Now already what you'll probably start to notice is that we're building up a sequence of instructions here. Okay, we're building up an algorithm. So like we learned last week, our computers are very, very clever, but they need us to tell them what to do. Okay, so we need to be able to tell our computers what to do, and this is why we are building up this sequence of instructions and this algorithm. Okay, now you'll notice that under here, if we click on this arrow next to where we have this egg, okay, that there are lots of different animals and things like that that we can have spawn into our world. Okay, I'm going to stick to using the chicken for now, but like I said, there are different options available. Now these squiggly lines and these numbers, okay, so this is the squiggly line is called a tilde, okay, and the numbers are relative to those coordinates that I talked about earlier. Okay, so we've got that currently, you might be able to see on my screen, in the top left of my screen, it says 17, 4 and 43. Okay, now what that means is that the 0, or what this 0, 0, 0 means is that, as this tutorial says, it is the relative 3D position of the player. Okay, now what this means is that our chickens are going to be currently spawning in exactly the same place as us. So these coordinates, they don't mean our exact coordinates like 17, 4 and 43, but how close our spawn is going to take place in relation to where we're standing. Okay, so if I move on to the next section, you can see now that the tutorial is telling me that I need to change the middle number to being 10. Okay, now this is the y-axis, okay, which is up and down, and what we're saying here is that our chickens are going to be spawning 10 blocks above where the player is currently standing. Okay, so if everything was 0, 0 and 0, that would mean that our player character is going to be having chickens spawn in exactly the same place as we are currently standing. Okay, however, by changing that value to 10, we are saying that the chickens are going to be spawning 10 blocks above where the player is currently standing. Okay, so that basically the player doesn't become instantly surrounded by chickens. Okay, so hopefully that all makes sense so far. Remember, you can indeed ask us questions using that chat facility that's available on the TechnoCamp's website. Okay, so now that we've specified exactly where our chickens are going to spawn, whoops, we now need to see whether or not our code actually works. Okay, so we need to press this green start button down here, and you might be wondering why nothing has actually happened. Okay, and that's because we haven't actually run our code yet. Okay, so what I'm just going to quickly do is just change my settings so that it is always day, so that it's a little bit brighter. Okay, there we go. So at the moment, you might be noticing that there is no chicken. Okay, there is no chicken currently flying around, and that's because we haven't actually run our command. So that green on start block that we got rid of earlier, because that has now gone, what we are using is the chat commands. Okay, so to open up the chat commands, we press the letter T on our keyboard, and you'll see now that I'm in this chat and commands menu. Okay, now it's from this menu that we're able to run lots and lots of different commands and things like that. Okay, but we won't be looking at those today. What we're going to be doing is running our code using the code builder. Okay, so to do that, we click on that type menu down the bottom here, sorry, the text box down the bottom here, and we type in the name of our command. So you might remember that our command was called chicken, and if I press enter and I look up, we can see that we have a chicken that's spawned 10 blocks above my head. Okay, so we have now spawned in our chicken. So this is going really well so far. We've got our chicken, which means our code so far is working. Now if you press C on the keyboard again to go back to the code builder, you will now see that the next part of the tutorial is asking us to use a repeat loop, okay, which we can find from this loops menu. Now a lot of you might remember the repeat loop from last week, or we used something similar last week when we were looking at looping. Okay, and we use loops very, very often in computer programming because sometimes it looks more efficient to have a loop than what it would be to repeat the same bit of code over again using the same blocks. So by having this loop, which I will show you in a second, it saves us from having to copy this block multiple times. Okay, so it says that we would like to have 100 chickens, but if I have to have 100 chickens without a loop, I would have to duplicate this block 100 times, which is very, very time consuming, and our code would look a little bit messy. Okay, so what we can do instead is we can specify that we use a coding loop, okay, that repeats this block of code 100 times with just the addition of this block. So by clicking and dragging it and placing it, we don't want it underneath, we want to make sure that it's containing that purple spawn block, okay, so that this block is inside or is nested inside of this block. Okay, and we want to then change that to being 100. Okay, and what that's doing now is that's saying that this block of code, this spawn animal, which is the chicken egg, at 10 blocks above the player, that block will now run 100 times. Okay, and so we'll end up in total with 101 chickens because we've already got one, as you can see, that's wandering around in our world. So now that that's finished, we can click on finish and we can click on the start button again, and then we simply press T on our keyboard, we type in chicken again because that is the name of our command, I press enter, and if I look up we can now see that we have loads and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of chickens. Okay, so we have little chicks as well that are running around, and we have lots and lots of chickens, so we have a total of 101 chickens okay, that are currently flying around in our world. Okay. So if you've managed to follow all of that so far, well done, because you've now completed your first um, Minecraft computer program. Okay, there are some external editors available that you can use. Okay, however, the one that we used today was the inbuilt coding editor. Okay, now a lot of you might have noticed that this agent spawns in when you pressed the code builder button for the first time. Okay, and we're going to be making use of the agent now to build up a structure within our Minecraft world. Okay, before we do that though, I'm just going to head back to the code builder, and I'm just going to quickly show you the other programming languages that are available. Now remember, you don't need to understand these languages, okay, because we've not covered them just yet. However, if we take a quick look at JavaScript, you can see that it does look a little bit strange, okay. There are lots of different words and different things used that maybe don't make that aren't too clear, okay. But this code is doing exactly the same thing as this code, okay. And similarly, if we look at the Python code, again, looks a little bit strange. There's maybe some different words here that don't quite make sense, okay. But it does exactly the same thing as our blocks of code here. Okay, so there's no need to worry if you're not too sure what any of it means. Okay, just remember that it all does the same thing as these 3 blocks that are on the screen now. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll just give everybody a couple of minutes to have a go at playing around within the Minecraft world, okay, and having a go at doing, maybe changing the animal that you can spawn in. So maybe I'll do pig, and I'll have the pig spawn in at exactly the same place as my character, and I'll change my command to being called pig. And if I now run the pig command, we can see that there are lots of different pigs. Okay, so we've got 100 pigs now that are also wandering around in our Minecraft world. Okay, so have a go for a few minutes at just having a play around with the different things that you can do in the code builder. And then in a second, we will take a look at how we can program our agent to move around the world, place different things within the world. Okay? So remember as well, if there are any points where you feel like you need a little bit more time to have a go with things, you can pause the video and then go back to it later on once you've had a go at placing your first programming blocks and things like that. Okay? So, as I said earlier, a lot of you might have noticed that this strange robot character appears in your world when you open the code builder for the first time. Okay? Now, this is perfectly normal. Okay, you don't need to worry about this happening. But what we're going to be doing is programming this agent to move and build us a little bit of a structure. Now, it's absolute. I'm going to move away from all of these, from all of the animals. Okay, so it is okay for us to go around and build a structure like this. So by pressing the right mouse button when we have some blocks, we can build a structure that looks something like this. Okay, so just a normal square or rectangle shape. We can do things that look like that. Okay, but it's sometimes quite helpful for us to have something else do that for us. Okay, and this is where the agent comes in quite handy. Okay, so we're now going to program our agent to build us a structure. So going back to that code builder from earlier, okay, I'm going to click on this home button up here, okay, and that's going to take me back to the code builder home page, and I'm going to start another new project. So I'm going to call it agent test or something like that. Okay, and then I'm going to hit create. Now, some of you might have come across these different code options. Remember, as I mentioned earlier, there are different programming languages available, and for those of you who want to try those, feel free to do so. But for today, we are going to be using the block-based programming, and so we need to make sure that we have got blocks, JavaScript, and Python selected, and then you can hit create. Okay. Now again, there are two different choices of how you would like to have your program start. So you can use the onStart command, the onStart block, or you can use the onChat command block, which is what I'm going to be using today. Okay. Now what we're going to be doing is just quickly giving our agent a small task to do that will allow it to build us a basic structure. Now what you do to build your structure is up to you. Okay, so you can build whatever type of structure that you would like. Okay, but today I'm just going to be showing you how to build a simple square or a simple rectangular structure like I was showing you just a second ago. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to just rename my command. So I'm going to call it, I'll call it structure, for example. Okay, and what I'm going to do then is I'm going to use this agent menu down here. So some of you might have noticed that there's a whole bunch of different menus that have now appeared. Okay, but that's okay. So I'm going to use the agent menu, and the first thing I'm going to just quickly do is have my agent teleport to player. So every single time I start the program, the agent is going to be teleported to wherever I'm stood in the world. Okay. Now the other thing that I need to do is scroll through this agent menu until I find this block here, which is agent set block or item count 1 in slot 1. Might seem a little bit confusing, but what this block essentially does is it puts a specified block, okay, into the agent's inventory. So like we had our inventory earlier when we pressed the letter E on the keyboard, this block here will put a block into the agent's inventory. Okay, so I'm going to take that block and I'm going to click it onto here. And I'm going to change the type of block that I want the agent to build with. So I'm going to use cobblestone, okay? And I'm also going to change the amount that the agent has, and I'm going to set it to the maximum that you can set it to, which is 64. Now you can type that number in, or you can use the sliding slider adjuster here, okay? So what we've done so far is we have set our agent to teleport to the player when the program starts, and we've also specified that the agent is going to have cobblestone placed in its inventory. So 64 cobblestone blocks will be placed in its inventory when the program starts, okay? In slot 1 just means that it's going to be in the first slot of the agent's inventory, okay? Now what we need to do now is we need to have our agent place down these cobblestone blocks. So we need this to happen whilst the agent is preferably up in the air. So what I mean by this is that it is easier for the agent to move around and place different objects if they are slightly higher up in the world to start off with, because that way they can place the objects down, okay? So what we can use is this agent move forward by 1 block, and we can change forward to being up. So what this means is that now our agent will move up by 1, okay, before it starts to do any sort of building, okay? So this kind of makes it easier now for us to see how the agent is going to be placing our objects. Now I'm going to use, because I would like the agent to place 10 blocks per side of my structure, I am going to use the loops menu, and I'm going to use this repeat 4 times loop, okay? And I'm going to change it so that my agent places a total of 10 blocks per side, okay? Now, at the moment, if I were to run this code, my agent isn't going to be placing any blocks because I've not yet told it to place any. So I need to go back into that agent's menu, and I need to tell my agent to place a block. And so we can use this agent place block, and we can tell our agent to place a block down. So this is what I meant earlier by elevating the agent to move up 1 block. We are now saying that the agent is always going to be 1 block in the air, okay, and they're going to place down 1 block at a time, okay. Now if you wanted, you could have the agent just simply place backwards or in front of you, okay? But I just find it easier to have the agent 1 block higher than the row of blocks that's being placed, okay? But it's up to you how you would like to do it. So now that we have our agent placing down 10 blocks, we also need to tell the agent to move forwards after it's placed every block, because at the moment what's going to happen, if I run the code, I will show you. So if I type in structure on the chat command, we can see that the agent is here, 1 block has been placed, but the agent is currently stuck, okay, and isn't actually moving anywhere. So what we need to do, and you'll see that there's all of these different error messages that are coming up, okay? So what we need to do is go back to our code, and we need to tell our agent to move forwards. By 1 step, every single time it places down a block. So let's try this again. So there's the agent. I'm going to say structure. I'm going to run that command. We can see that the agent has placed down the blocks and has moved forward by one space with every single step. Okay, so I'm just going to destroy these blocks so that we can start again. So back to the code builder. At the moment, our agent is only placing one side to our structure. Okay, and we might want our agent to build up 4 different walls. Okay, now what we need to do is use a new loop. Okay, and what we'll be doing are nesting loops. So I'm going to take another one of these repeat 4 times loops. I'm going to place it so that our other loop is inside of the new loop. Okay, and I'm going to tell my agent to turn to the right after it has placed down these 10 blocks. Okay, so I'm going to say agent turn right or left, it doesn't matter which direction, but I'm going to go with right. Now what's happening here is our agent is going to repeat all of the code that's inside of this repeat 4 times loop 4 times. Okay, however, it's going to be running the code that's inside of the repeat 10 times loop 10 times. So it's going to do this, it's going to run this loop 4 different times. Okay, however, every time the code runs, it's going to be running these 2 blocks 10 times, but this whole loop will be run a total of 4 times. So you'll see now, if I run this code, okay, we can see that the agent heads off, turns to the right, okay, and it places all of those different blocks. Okay, now it has missed one out from the end, but that's just because I was standing in the way when the agent started. Okay, so we can see now that what's happened is our agent has built a total of 4 walls. Okay, it's placed 10 blocks per side, which is why it was running this code here 10 times. Okay, and it's also repeated the turn right block 4 times, so that there are 4 sides to our structure. Okay, I'm just going to quickly take away this teleport to agent block just so that we don't keep missing out on that block every time the program starts. So for the purposes of demonstration, I'm just going to remove all of these blocks. Okay, it seems to have started to rain in my world as well. Okay, so it might start raining in your worlds as well. Okay, that does sometimes happen unless you've turned on the perfect weather command. Okay, now currently, like I said, our agent is placing 10 blocks per side and a total of 4 sides, but we might want to have our structure be slightly taller than just 1 block. Okay, and so what we can do is we can bring in another loop. So again, another repeat loop, which is going to go outside of the other loops. So now we've got 3 loops all together, all nested inside of each other. Okay, and I'm going to say that my structure is going to be very high, and it's going to be 15 blocks high. Okay, and what's going to happen essentially is our agent, in fact I might put the agent teleporter player block back, is going to need to move up by 1 block every single time this code is run. So I'm going to use another one of these agent move forward by 1 blocks from the agent menu. I'm going to pop it just there, and I'm going to change that to being up. And if we run through this code one more time, you should hopefully start to see how it works. Okay, so we've got our agent is going to initially teleport to the player. and then we're setting 64 of these cobblestone blocks inside the first slot of the agent's inventory. Okay, and then like I said, I've got my agent to move up by 1, but it's up to you. You might have your agent move forwards, place a block behind them, then turn to the right and move forwards again. But I just like to have my agent hovering 1 block above the blocks that it's going to be placing down to start off with. Okay. Now, it might get quite confusing with all of these loops inside of each other, but I'll talk through them. Okay. So, essentially, we're going to be running all of the code that's inside of this 15 times loop, a total of 15 times, okay? Which means that we're going to have 4 walls with 10 blocks per wall 15 times, okay? And every block is going to be 1 higher than the previous block. Now, when our code is running, the agent is going to be placing down a total of 10 blocks to a row, and once it's done that, it's going to turn to the right, and then it's going to start this code again. Okay, then it's going to turn to the right again, start this code again, turn to the right again, start this code again, and turn to the right again, until all of this code has repeated a total of 4 times. Okay, so all of this is going to repeat 4 times, and these 2 blocks will be repeated a total of 10 times. So I know that sounds a little bit confusing, okay, but after 4 sides of the wall have been built, our agent is then going to move up by 1, and it's going to start the process all over again. It's going to place 4 walls with 10 blocks per wall until our structure is 15 blocks high. So I'll show you what that means now by running the code. Okay, so I'm going to go to run my code. So I'm going to say structure. Again, unfortunately, this time the pig got a little bit in the way. Okay, so I'll see if I can move the pig out of the way a little bit. Just place another block here. So again, unfortunately, because I was standing in the way, the agent wasn't able to place that first block, which is why I've had to place it there myself. Okay, but what we're seeing happening here is the agent is going around, placing 10 blocks per side, okay, turning to the right, and then carrying on to place more blocks. And as soon as it's placed 4 sides, it's then it's moving up 1 block, or 1 space, and it's then continuing to place 4 different sides to our structure until there's going to be a total of 15 sides altogether. Okay? So the blocks that you chose to build your structure are entirely up to you, and the design that you've chosen, or that you choose, is entirely up to you. Again, I've just chosen this simple 4-walled design just to show you how you can program your agent to do different things or to build up a simple structure within the world. Okay, so as you can see, the agent is currently moving around and building up the structure, and it will keep doing that until we have a total of 15 blocks in height. Okay, so our agent's going to keep doing that for now. So if I just go back to our code builder, okay, like I said, just to recap, we've got this nested structure with all of these different loops inside of each other. So we're going to have 15 blocks of height altogether. Okay, there's going to be 4 walls to our structure and 10 blocks per wall, okay, as per side. Okay, now I know that might sound slightly confusing and it might look a little bit strange, but remember, you can pause the video and go back and have another look through this again to help you kind of understand it in maybe a little bit more detail. Okay, now as well, we can sort of do a little bit of, let's say, interior design, okay, inside of our structure. So we can go inside of it, okay, and we might want to place some different objects inside. So we can go to our inventory and we can choose different things. So we might want to have, I don't know, maybe we want to change the colour of our floor. Maybe we want to have some red concrete on our floor. Okay, so we can destroy these blocks that are inside. You could, of course, remember, program your agent to do this if you wanted to. Okay, and remember, if you do accidentally destroy something, you can just go back to your inventory. Okay, and you can choose the block that you've accidentally destroyed, pop it into your hotbar, and then you can place it back. Okay, so don't worry if you do accidentally destroy something, but you can now design the inside of your structure, okay, that you've built using programming to how you in any way that you like. Okay, so like I said, I'm just placing down some red concrete blocks here, but it is completely up to you what you do. And remember, it's completely up to you what design of structure you choose as well. Okay, so you can be as creative as you like with your structures. Okay, and remember, if you do make mistakes, you can just simply go into your inventory and you can choose the different blocks that you might have destroyed by accident, pop them into your hotbar, and you can then put them back. So for example, I've accidentally destroyed some cobblestone here, so if I go into my hotbar, into my inventory, I can perform a search for cobblestone. Okay, I can drag that into my hotbar, highlight over it, and then right click to place it. Okay, and I can do things as well, like build a roof, and I can do all kinds of things with my structure. Okay, so hopefully that was a little bit of a crash course into Minecraft education for you. Okay, remember, there are lots and lots of tutorials available on the code builder section here that you can use to help you build your knowledge in programming using the agent. Okay, I hope that everybody has enjoyed today's session and has managed to learn something new about either using Minecraft Education Edition or about programming in Minecraft Education Edition. We will be back next week again, okay, same time, at 4:30 next week, where we will be carrying on with some programming. It will be some block-based programming again, but we will be using MakeCode Arcade next week. Okay, so something slightly different than usual. Okay, but it will be block-based programming. So, like I said, next Tuesday at 4:30 we will be back to have a look at MakeCode Arcade. Now remember, if anybody did want to get in touch about any of the competitions that I mentioned at the start, feel free to do so. Okay, remember, there is lots of information available on the TechnoCamp's website if you do need to have any help with anything. Okay, so I will just bring up the website again for us all to see. So remember, there is the Game of Codes competition, there is the Minecraft Welsh Rugby Union competition. Okay, and remember that there's that you can contact us if you would like more information about that. Okay, so once again, thank you very much everybody for joining in with us today. If you're in tomorrow's Techno Club, I look forward to seeing you, but otherwise, have a good week everybody, and thank you very much once again. Take care.